Okay, first things first, if you hear music at some point in this video just blasting, I'm sorry, that's not my fault. I'm gonna try to edit that stuff out as much as I can. Nothing I can do about it, sorry. Okay, what else? I don't know. Okay, let's just get into it. Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. If you are new, if you're not new, welcome back to my channel. My name is Marina and today I'm back with another bi-monthly wrap-up. I knew I could do it. I am back to talk about all the books I've read throughout July and August. And honestly, the past 2 months have been pretty good reading months. Not in terms of quantity, because y'all know how I've been this year. I haven't read a book that I disliked, I think. Like all the books I've read the past 2 months have been good. And I take that over reading like a bunch of bad books. Yeah, let's just get started. First book that I read in July was Twisted Lies by Anna Huang, which is the last book in the Twisted series. Now, you guys know I talked about the first 3 books in my last monthly wrap-up. Literally the day I uploaded that wrap-up video was the day that she ended up dropping the last book in the series. So I read it, and then I didn't end up finishing it until literally July, because it came out the last day of June, I think. And I gave it a 3 out of 5 stars. Now, I don't know if this is an unpopular opinion. I don't know if I'm gonna like cause a tizzy with this opinion, but I genuinely don't know what the difference was between this story and Twisted Love. I don't. The story itself, pretty different, like not gonna lie, but the characters kind of carbon copies of Alex and Anna from Twisted Love. Like, please, if you can tell me 5 differences between Alex and Christian, you get a cookie. But I kid you not, I was reading that book and just felt like I was reading the exact same character from 3 books ago, and I was very confused. Same with Stella, if I'm being completely honest. Felt like there wasn't much difference between like the dynamic between these two and just their personalities. It also doesn't help that the author somehow manages to fit Alex into every single book, which is very annoying because he's my least favorite out of all of the male love interests. So it was very hard to distinguish the differences between the two of them, especially when they're in a scene together. Like, they literally have the same exact personality. It's actually so jarring to read. So yeah, but like I gave it 3 stars because I prefer the story more to Twisted Love. I think that there was a lot more depth when it comes to the story and unpacking why both characters have a lot of trauma. That part I enjoyed a lot. If I were to rank the books in the Twisted Love series, now that I have officially read all of them, it would be Twisted Games, Twisted Hate, Twisted Lies, and then Twisted Love. Twisted Hate and Twisted Lies are interchangeable depending on my mood, but I think that's how I'm gonna rank the series because I think that makes the most sense to me. I will be reading Anna Huang's newest series that comes out in I think October or November. It's like a spin-off series of the Twisted series, and I'm very excited because we got to meet the characters for the next series in Twisted Lies, and I know I just have a sixth sense that I'm gonna love them and their book, so I'm very excited for that. Stay tuned because I'm definitely going to read that definitely as soon as it comes out. So next book that I read in July, Circe by Madeline Miller. I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. This shouldn't be a surprise. I am convinced I will literally love anything that this woman writes if she continues to write more, because I'm pretty sure she only has these 2 books, Circe and Song of Achilles. But if she were to write more, I would not hesitate to pick it up because, oh my god, I can't express how much I love this book. I honestly think I prefer it to Song of Achilles, which I never thought I would say, but here we are. I love the way that she can easily portray like these Greek gods as real people with a personality. Although they're part of like, you know, mythology, everyone knows about Circe and her story and other Greek gods. Like they're pretty famous myths and legends. But the way that she's managed to like, I don't know, entangle all of their stories together as if I've never heard of it before is so interesting. Because I've heard about the story of Circe before, but Madeline Miller, she just has a way of writing with that pen of hers that's just out of this world. I I really enjoyed Circe. Obviously the whole book is about her and her journey of being just treated terribly by every single god out there from day one since she was a child until she finally somehow some way gets her happy ending. But in order to get there, you have to go through a bunch of like emotional shit throughout the entire book. And I enjoyed myself thoroughly. It was a fun read. Also really liked the callbacks to, of course, Song of Achilles. I enjoyed that a lot. It was, it soothed something in me. I don't know how to explain my love for this book. It is one of my favorite reads of this year. Like, I'm begging Madeline Miller to write something else. Like, I will drop money down for it, like, immediately. I will, if she just picks up her pen and writes a new book. It doesn't even have to be about Greek mythology, though that's like her bread and butter. I would read whatever she puts out. I've heard that a lot of people say that if they don't like Song of Achilles, then they would like Circe, and if they don't like Circe, then they will like Song of Achilles. I guess it just depends on what you're into, because Song of Achilles is a romance, whereas this is just fiction. So I don't know, I guess it just depends, but I loved both, so I say read both. Next book that I read in the month of July that arguably put me in a reading slump, My Dark Vanessa by Kate Elizabeth Russell. You know what? I'm not gonna say this even put me in a reading slump because it was bad. It wasn't bad, actually. I really enjoyed the book. I don't know if that's even the right word choice. I was captivated throughout the book. So it's not like I was bored or anything. It's just the subject matter in the book that kind of just made me slow down my reading process throughout July. It was hard for me to pick up a book while reading this one or even after reading this one because of how much it stuck to me. If you don't know what My Dark Vanessa is about, it's basically about this girl named Vanessa. She is going to a new private school, and at this new private school she has like no friends. She had one friend, but they just don't talk anymore, so she has no one to talk to. But she ends up having this bond with her English professor, her English teacher, and the bond turns into something very not good. It's about a student-teacher relationship and grooming and pedophilia. Triggers, warnings for that. Yeah, so if you want to read it, definitely check all the trigger warnings. There are a lot, but that's kind of just like the base of the story. It's not glorifying the relationship at all. It shows all of the twists and turns and dark shit that comes with grooming. Just a lot. It was really just a lot, and it goes back and forth from like 2000 to 2017. So like back in the day in 2000 when she was in school to now when she's like a grown adult and looking back at how this man kind of messed her up. Yeah, it was not an easy read by any means, but I did like it a lot. I cried a lot, which is actually kind of refreshing because I haven't cried with any of the books that I've read so far this year. So maybe I needed that, but wow. Yeah, I gave it 4 stars. I liked it. However, I would not read it again. I would recommend other people read it. I feel like everyone needs to read this book at least once in their life. It's a great story about how getting in not even just like relationships so young, but with a relationship with like an adult. This professor, this teacher guy is like 40 years old. So like obviously like a 30-year age difference between her and this man at the time. Okay, I don't know what's up with the internet, but a lot of people like to say they're like, oh, high schoolers dating like a 19-20-year-old man or woman is okay because they're in high school and like they're almost grown, they're almost 18. Like it shows how even like relationships like that can definitely damage someone at a young age, as young as Vanessa was in the book, and she was I think like 15. Obviously like I know that grooming and pedophilia is bad, but because of how the media always portrays it, like shows like Pretty Little Liars where one of the biggest ships in the show was with a student and a teacher, that's kind of like the stuff I grew up on. So although I know it's bad, like I've always seen it in a positive light where you're supposed to root for them, like, oh, forbidden love, that's so amazing. And I think this book did a good job touching on why that is and how it can affect the kids, because at the end of the day the students that get into this relationship are children. One side is like child and the other is a full-grown adult, it will really mess up the child at the end of the day, whether it be early in their life or later down the road when they're fully grown and have a chance to actually sit down and think about how this affected them in their life and the way that they look at things. The scenes that were like back in the year 2000, while those did get me, it was actually the scenes of her in the future, of Vanessa just having to talk to her therapist and her therapist having to make her understand why that relationship wasn't okay. That's when the whole thing kind of got me. Like, of course, seeing the scenes play out with her and the teacher were gross, disturbing, but when she actually sat down and looked at herself and everything that she's been through and how this man treated her at a very young age and manipulated her and gaslit her throughout most of her adolescent life, that's what really got me sad and emotional. And yeah, I recommend it, but I will not be reading it again. But I gave it 4 stars, so I really do like it. Read at your own risk. But yeah, really good book. Let's talk about a rom-com book. Actor Age Eve Brown by Talia Hibbert. Now, you guys know me and this Brown Sisters trilogy, we've been tussling for about a year now. Not tussling as in fighting, it's mostly been a one-side fight with me and my wallet. I've been waiting to read this book since I've read the Brown Sisters trilogy books, the first 2 at least, back in I think September of last year, or maybe it was exactly a year ago that I read the first 2 books. And then I've been waiting for the bookstore that I work at to get the physical copy of Actor A.G. Brown, because I've been on a somewhat book buying ban where I don't buy books online. I will only get them if I see them in person. I'm trying to save money. So it took about a little less than a year for my bookstore to finally get this in. So I finally read it, and no surprise, I loved it. If you guys don't know what the Brown Sister trilogy is, it's basically about these 3 sisters and their love stories with different men in each book. Eve is the last sister to get her book, and hers is basically about her just trying to get her life together and act her age in a sense. She doesn't really know what she wants to do with her life. She's been living under her parents' roof for about 20 something years, and they've kind of had enough. They're like, Eve, you got to get your shit together. And she takes that and runs with it. Literally, she goes in her car, rides into the sunset to I was about to say Airbnb. It's not an Airbnb, it's a bed and breakfast. It's a bed and breakfast. And there she meets this man named Jacob who runs the bed and breakfast, and they instantly do not like each other at all. But she somehow ends up getting a job there, and you know, close proximity, a little bit of sexual tension, a lot of dislike and hatred. It was good. I enjoyed myself. I really liked this book. I liked Jacob. I found him hilarious. I genuinely, like, I was dying. Every single thing he said was funny without him even trying to be, so that was great. I love Eve. I will protect Eve with everything in me. Like, that's really my girl. As I would with all of the Brown sisters. Like, those are my sisters. I will protect them with my life. I love the banter between these 2. It just felt really natural, and again, hilarious. I liked reading about them and their love story and how they're both in denial idiots, because, you know, neither of them want to admit that they're in love with each other because they hate each other so much, blah blah blah. They're come on. They're also like so cute. Like, look at them, they're adorable. Now that I have officially read all of the books in the Brown Sisters trilogy, I think I would rank it Danny's book, Eve's book, and then Chloe's book. Yeah. I just feel like the dynamic with Eve and Jacob definitely beat out the dynamic with Chloe and Red and Get a Life Chloe Brown. So I feel like this deserves top 2. I do. And then of course nothing's gonna be Danny and Sahir. I think Sahir, I think, is her love interest name. Those 2 kind of set the bar, set the standard a little too high, so nothing's really touching them. But yeah, this is definitely going in 2nd place, and then Chloe's book is 3rd. A good 5-star read, and I needed it after my Dark Vanessa, so thank you, Talia Hibbert. Thank you so much. Okay, let's get into a memoir that I read, that I think everyone at this point has read. I'm Glad My Mom Died by Jeanette McCurdy. Now, I usually don't talk about memoirs and biographies that I read, simply because like I feel weird giving reviews for someone's body of work that's so personal to them and is about them and their life. Although I'm sure a lot of people have read it, I think that me being able to give my thoughts and opinions on this is needed for me personally, because it's been about a month since I read this book and I'm still thinking about it to this day. So I need to get what I need to say off of my chest. If you guys don't know who Jeanette McCurdy is, she was a young child actress on the show iCarly, which I'm sure most of you have probably heard of. It was a very popular show. And then Sam and Cat, which was the spinoff of iCarly, which had Ariana Grande in it as well. So she was on those two shows, but she had like a long child actress career before those two shows. And this book was basically her saying how she didn't want to do any of that. Her mom forced her to, and so she ended up having all of this fame and fortune, and she was just very sad at the end of the day. She was sad, depressed, and couldn't really talk to anyone. She felt like she couldn't go to anyone with any of her stuff except for her mom, until her mom died. And then she ended up writing this novel about all of the abuse that her mom put her through from childhood into adulthood. Now, as soon as I heard about this book, which was months ago when she announced that she was making a book and putting it out, I instantly knew I was gonna read it. As soon as I saw the cover of the book, the title, I was like, oh, of course I'm gonna read it. I'm hooked. But I was not expecting that. I didn't go in reading the synopsis either, so although I knew about what was going to be said, I did not know about everything. I don't think, even if I read the synopsis, I don't think it would have prepared me for what I ended up reading. I think that Jeanette McCurdy is so honest in this book, while also managing to balance like being funny. It's actually kind of weird, because I was reading about like these very sad moments in her life, but she's so sarcastic and blunt about it that I felt weird laughing, but somehow I did end up laughing. It made me like, by the time I was finished with the book, I was like, what did I even read? Like, what did I just experience? Because I read it in like the span of I think a day. For this to be her first book, I noticed that her writing style is so unique. It's something that I've never read before in any book, whether it be like a biography, fiction, whatever. I genuinely think that Jeanette McCurdy was meant to write, because this book, it touched on every single emotion possible for me that I didn't even know was there, but somehow she pulled it out of me, which is honestly so interesting, because even in the book she said that she never wanted to be an actress, that she's always wanted to write. And I think that this is her calling. Like, if she were to write anything else, whether it be like a book or a film or a show, whatever she wants, I will be tuning in, because I'm speechless. You guys probably already know about this book because it's been all over social media. I really do think that this book is amazing, not only because it was a great way for Jeanette to get everything off of her chest, and for topics of child stardom and the dangers of that to come to light. I also think it's a good way for other child stars to be able to tell their stories in the future, because this is honestly, I knew that child stardom was bad. Like, anyone knows that if you are seeing a child actor on your screen, they're most likely being exploited. That's not a secret. It's kind of just the way of the world. However, the way that Jeanette McCurdy writes about it from her own life and her own perspective, it gives you a whole different look of how detrimental and sad and heartbreaking it can be to be on one of the biggest child shows ever of all time. Like, iCarly was huge. I don't even think I understood how huge it was growing up, but looking back on it, that show was huge. And for her to be on that show and then come home miserable, hating that she was even on the show to begin with, and then having to do a spin-off show that she didn't want to do, like, it's crazy. It's a lot more to it than just her life as an actor. It's mostly about her relationship with her mom, hence the title, I'm Glad My Mom Died. So it's definitely like a lot of triggering stuff. Look it up. Yeah, I gave this book 5 stars. Again, I never really rate books like this. I never really talk about them, but I really do feel like this book is too good to not talk about. If you haven't read it, read it. like the people aren't lying. It's a phenomenal book. Back to lighthearted stuff. Let's talk about One True Loves by Elise Bryant. Now you guys know that one of my favorite books of all time, Happily Ever Afters, was written by Elise Bryant, and that came out I think last year, and it was one of the books that took me out of my 10-year reading slump. So of course I'm gonna read whatever Elise Bryant puts out. However, I did not know that this book came out. I did not know that she put out a new book. This came out in January. I had no idea. I was very whoa when I saw it in the bookstore. I was like, whoa, crazy. So I read it. I gave it 3 stars. The book is about this side character that you see in Happily Ever Afters, the best friend of the main character. Her name is Lenore. She is trying to figure out how to continue her life after high school. She knows what she wants to do, but she doesn't, and her family notices that she doesn't, and that she's questioning everything that she wants to do, because she's good at everything, but she doesn't really know what she wants to do in terms of like a field or a career or a major or a minor, you know. So her family's like, look, we're going on this summer cruise after you graduate. While we're on this cruise, you need to figure out what you want to do, you know, like you got a week. I think they say like a week literally a week to figure out what you want to do with your life. We're not giving you any more time. That's all you get. And she's like, okay. So she goes on this cruise, stressed out of her mind. On the cruise, of course, she meets this really cute boy, Alex. She meets this cute boy named Alex, and you know, they don't really like each other at first, but then it turns into something. It turns into something magical, dare I say. It was cute. I enjoyed it. I will say I enjoyed Lenore unpacking her internal stuff with herself and her family more than the romance aspect of the book. I do feel like the romance kind of didn't really have to be there. I feel like the romance was kind of rushed or kind of written in between scenes that actually mattered, so, and it made the romance look kind of like secondary, like compared to what's really happening with Lenore, which maybe was intentional, I don't know, but I wasn't hooked with the romance like I was with Happily Ever Afters. For this, I wanted to make sure that Lenore was okay. I wanted to make sure that she got whatever she wanted in the end. But yeah, I wasn't really into this book for Alex, although he's a really cute like male interest. He's very nice, very sweet throughout the book, but I was just trying to make sure that Lenore was okay by the end. And so when I found out that she was going to be okay, that's when I was like, okay girl, go get your man. But I really wasn't invested in the romance until she got her stuff together. So yeah, it wasn't my favorite. I think I still prefer Happily Ever Afters, but I heard that she's dropping another book next January, and I'm definitely going to be reading that. Elise Bryant, if you're watching this, I highly doubt it, but if you want to send the ARC my way, queen, anytime, any place, like I'm available. Reach out, send me the ARC, because guys, let me put the cover of the new book right here. I've been talking about this book for months. I'm ready to get it. Like, please send it to me. I'm so serious. But yeah, that's One True Loves, 3 stars. It was cute. Okay, so next book, arguably my favorite book out of this whole entire list of books I'm going to be talking about in this video, Blood Like Fate by Lascelles Sambury. Guys, oh my god, screaming, crying, throwing up, and so much pain, but also happiness. I don't know where to start. If you guys don't know what Blood Like Fate is, it is the sequel in the Blood Like Magic duology. If you've been with my channel long enough, you know how I feel about this duology, because I talked about the first book sometime last year. I think it was around the same time last year that I talked about the first book and how that was one of my favorite reads of 2021. So I did not hesitate to pick this up as soon as it came out. You guys already know. I'm like, look at this. Look at the cover, first of all. You're gonna tell me that if you walked by this cover, you wouldn't pick it up. That's a gorgeous cover. Like, even without knowing what the book was about, I still would have picked it up. Are you kidding? If you don't know what Blood Like Magic is, it's about this girl named Boya, her family of witches, and how she has to kill her first love in order to save her family and her magic. That's what the first book is about. And from the way that the first book ended, I was very excited to read the sequel. I'm so happy that I read this. I've never read such a satisfying fantasy ending in my life. I'm being so serious. I'm not trying to be dramatic. This might be one of my favorite fantasy series of all time. I don't know how Lascelles Sambury does it, but the way that she manages to write Voya and her dynamic with her family seems so real. Like, yes, it's a fantasy book, there's magic, and also it's kind of sci-fi because it's set like a few decades in the future and there's a lot of technology aspects of the plot and everything, yes, but it felt so real, from the world to the characters, the character dynamics, like, because her whole family just lives in this one house, like her aunts, her uncles, her cousins, her grandma, like they all live in this one house together, so you get to see real life family dynamics, even though like they're the most powerful witches on the block. Like, it's so funny, but it's also so sad because you remember how the last book ended and you're kind of just like, oh, the dynamics from the first book are very different from this one because of how the last book ended. So being able to jump back into this world and see how it's all continued after everything is so... It was sad, not gonna lie. I was feeling bad for Voya throughout the whole entire book because it seemed like no one was on her side. No one. When I'm telling you no one, I mean like her family, her friends, her... like I'm like no one, not even other witch covens, like no other witch families. Like, she's kind of just alone in this book trying to figure out how to make people see her as, you know, this leader, this person who could stand up and lead, but no one looks at her that way. I remember saying in the last book how Voya, by the end of the first book, learned how to speak up and use her voice and, you know, not try to hide behind her cousins or her other family members. She got a lot more confident in that first book alone. But this book, oh, it's like a totally different person, but in the best way possible. That's the kind of character growth that I love. I genuinely... Oh, this is my sister. This is my sister. I will protect Voya with my life, though I have no magic. And she would probably be the one protecting me. I will protect Voya with my life. She's one of my favorite main characters ever. I suggest you read it simply because I love it. I remember I talked about it on TikTok, and I know a lot of people are reading it now because of my TikTok, so... Tell me what you guys think. I'm very excited for you. But yeah, this duology was great. I will read whatever Lizelle Sandberry puts out in the future as well. She's officially one of my favorite authors for this duology alone, because I don't know how she managed to make a perfect ending out of 2 books and all the shit that goes down in these 2 books, but she somehow managed to do that. I don't know how that works, but she did it. And yes, I do think I like this one more than the first one. Though I didn't reread the first one before this one came out, so I haven't read that one in like about a year. So maybe my opinion is a little skewed, but yeah, this is really good. So last book I'm gonna be talking about in this video was a spur of the moment decision. As most of my reading picks are, like, I don't really have a set TBR unless I'm a mood reader at heart, but this one was really just a spur of the moment decision. When I found the news about this book being made into a live adaptation, I was like, absolutely, because I saw who the actors were who were playing the main characters, and I was like, oh, I'm reading that for sure. Let's talk about A Cuban Girl's Guide to Tea and Tomorrow by Laura Taylor Nami. I don't know how to pronounce that last name. I'm so sorry. This book is getting made into a live adaptation, guys, and you know, I wouldn't have cared. I'm gonna be honest, I wouldn't have cared if I didn't see who the 2 people who were playing the main love interest. Kit freaking Connor from Heartstopper, Maya Refico from Pretty Little Liars Original Sin. That's all I needed to know. I picked up the book with swiftness. I placed a hold on it at the library and I read it within like 2 days. This is very serious for me. Yeah, I picked up this book and I read it. I gave it 3 stars. If you guys don't know what this book is about, it's about this girl named Leela. She is from Miami and she will not let you go a page without knowing otherwise. She is a Cuban girl from Miami. She just went through a really rough breakup, a friend breakup and a relationship breakup, and she just graduated, and she's kind of just like going through some depression right now. It's not looking good for her, and her family is worried about her, so they send her to live with her aunt and uncle all the way in Winchester, England, I'm pretty sure. And there she like starts to run her aunt and uncle's bed and breakfast kitchen, because she's good at making food. The food descriptions in this book are so It's amazing. She's so good at making food that she was gonna run her old grandma's cafe that she inherited from her grandma after her grandma died, but her family's like, no, you need help. Like, we aren't gonna let you run this business with like tears in our food, so you need to go. So she's there living with her aunt and uncle. She ends up running their bed and breakfast kitchen as a way to like feel something again. And while she's there, she meets this cute little British lad named Orion. Yeah, Orion. And sparks are flying in and out of the kitchen, guys. It was a very, very cute love story. I will say I was mostly reading it for the love story and Leela. It was a nice balance of both. However, I will 100% admit that I would not be in tune with this book if I didn't know who the actors were that were playing these characters. Because in my mind, I was just picturing the movie and how every scene would look in the movie. It made me get into the book 10 times more. Like, I'm gonna be completely honest. I can easily imagine both Maya and Kit playing these roles and killing it. And for that, I think I loved the book 10 times more than I would originally. Because I'm not gonna lie, at some point I was kind of bored. Like, although I read it in a few days, it should have taken me like no less than a day to read it because of how small it was. It was kind of boring in some parts, but then some parts got me, but then it slowed down, and I was like, this is very like short book. Why are we slowing down parts that could be sped up? Yeah, and the fact that it takes place in a summer, like, she's only staying in England for a summer, so I thought it was going to be a very fast-paced book. And it's not that it's not, I just felt like some scenes could have easily been taken out or replaced with others. But overall, I liked it. That was a very chaotic way of saying that I liked the book. I thought it was okay. I will be watching the movie, like I said. I don't know when it's coming out. I know it's an Amazon Prime Video movie. Yeah, I have no idea when it's coming out, but I keep seeing set pictures. I'm so excited. Guys, I'm gonna make this movie my whole personality, and you guys are gonna be irritated with me, but I don't care. Honestly, the highlight of this book were the food descriptions. I loved every time Leela was cooking in the kitchen because I got another food description and it made me so hungry. But those were kind of my favorite parts of the book. Yeah, I suggest you read it. It's a cute book. It's a quick read, and the movie's coming out soon, so why not just get into it? And yeah, those are all the books that I read in July and August. Let me know your thoughts and opinions on the books that I read if you have read them. Let me know if you have any other books that you want me to read, because honestly at this point I probably will, because I don't know what I'm going to be reading for the next like month or two. Well, no, I don't know what I'm going to be reading for next month. I have kind of a set TBR for this month that I might make videos on in the future. You never know. If you guys would like to follow me on my social media, here's my Twitter. I mostly interact on Twitter, but if you'd like to follow me on all my other social medias, they will be linked down in the description below. And yeah, that's my video. I will see you guys in the next one. Bye, everyone.